In this video, I'm going to walk you through designing a complete multi-camera video system that you can use for your business or church. All right, let's go. Hey folks, AJay here. First off, thanks for stopping by. On this channel, we focus on tips, training, strategies, reviews, and builds on how to modernize your media ministry. So if you're new here, consider subscribing. I work with a lot of churches and businesses as well to help bring in either camera systems in some way, shape, or form. And I want to walk you through what I do to actually help set this up and establish this, because it's not necessarily just going out and buying equipment. It's a lot more that I think if you follow these steps that I have, it will actually help you save yourself a lot of time and get everything done so where you don't have to go back and revisit this the whole time. The first thing I like to do is sit down with the leaders in the business or church that is looking to implement some type of video system. The first thing I like to do is help them cast the vision to me. Not technical talk, just what do you see? I want to be able to have a video system so that I can be in my office and I can broadcast that to everybody in the building. Or I have a conference room that I want to be able to do this and blah, blah, blah. Or in the sanctuary, I want to be able to put up scripture. I want to be able to live stream. I want to be able to do this. I let them cast the vision for me, and I make sure I try and drive them, unless they're technical, to not even talk about the technical aspects, because I want to lay out the entire thing that they have in their mind. Because first off, they may have some preconceived notions that I need to stack everything in my favor, meaning that I'm trying to help them get to their point. So let's just say I have a pastor that says, hey, I want to be able to have a video of anybody that's on the pulpit. I also want to be able to see the congregation at any time. I also want to have a camera that goes back and forth that can look at anything that happens to be ad hoc. I want to be able to, walk up and down the aisles or walk through the building with a camera, something like that. They also want to display it on the wall. I'll take a note of that. And I also want to be able to live stream. Okay, boom. I'll have that. That's their vision. Now, the next step I do after that is I'm going to translate that into some technology by actually driving some more questions for them to help out. So let's go back to the previous one. They said they want to put a display up. I will direct them saying, when you say display, are you thinking about a projector with a screen? Are you thinking about TVs? Are you thinking about both? Are you thinking about TVs in the sanctuary or a projector in the sanctuary and TVs everywhere else? I want to help guide them down that path to make the translation into technology, because we're considering ourselves the technology experts when they're talking about this. All right. And then I try and get that other, it could be also that they're saying, they just only want to display in the church. And then I would come back and say, hey, well, what about an overflow area? What if you have a large congregation, a special event or something, or a large conference room, or if this was a business and you need to go into an overflow state where you have another room, how are they going to be able to see that? Oh, I didn't think about that. See, that's where you want to help walk them through designing something, or that's what I would do with designing. All right. So I would help you guide you through anything else that I think you might also need, because this idea is when you build a video system is you want to establish the foundation to where you don't have to revisit this over and over again. You put in quality at the very beginning and has more features to expand to, instead of having to gut the whole thing and replace everything. All right, so the next thing we want to talk about is the actual budget. Now, based off of everything that we say, this is where you just ask not to even think of listing out everything. You just want to get a ballpark of what is the max range that they need to stay under. And because you can always manipulate everything based off of what they're doing to meet that budget. Now, again, unless somebody's saying we have a budget of $100, but they want to be able to do all this other stuff, I mean, just being realistic, that's not going to work. But you kind of do want to know where your budget is so that you can work within the confines of that. Don't make it a big deal, but again, you can work in that range. All right. All right, so now after you get an assessment of what the budget is, you want to do a site walkthrough. You want to walk through the place to see if what is wanted in their system is actually feasible in the position. So when you go through the church, you want to see, where is the media booth going to be located? Where can the cameras be placed to be able to fit that? So they say they have 2 cameras. They want one in the front. They want one in the back. Where would that be placed at? Can you put it in the exact center in the back of the church, or in the exact center in the front of the church? Is it a baptismal pool that you have to offset the camera? What's the consistency of the walls? Is it drywall? Is it stone? Is there a basement? Is there a drop ceiling? You want to think about that, because you want to think how you're going to connect everything, because everything is going to sit in the media area, or the media booth, or whatever room they have designated. Or even, since I mentioned that, do they even have one? Do you have to build a media room? That's something completely different. But you need to assess your environment and plan out how everything's going to go. If it's possible, try and get some blueprints of the area, so that way you can pull out your colored markers and just start drawing some places of where you want stuff to go, where you want cables to hide, etc., and things like that. Also, while you're there, you also want to assess if internet is available in the room that you're going to be at. If not, you want to run it there. This is one of those things, even if you're not live streaming, this is one of those investments you need to go ahead and do. Find, if they don't have a connection there, run a connection there, a hardline connection, 1 or 2 connections to that area where your media booth is going to be. I promise you, this will save you in the long run. All right, so let's go through it. We got our vision of what they want. We got a translation of the technology on how we're going to be able to add more to be able to accomplish what they want to do. We got an estimate of what their budget is going to be, and we've walked through the site to see what we're going to do. Now we're going to actually start getting into the gear. So from a gear standpoint, anytime you have more than one camera, one type of input, you want to go to a video mixer. Just trust me, go to a video mixer, because yes, you can do all this stuff in a computer, but you're going to need a beefy computer to act as your video switcher. And a video switcher is nothing but a simplified computer with the sole task of switching video in and out. I personally like the Blackmagic line of A10 switchers. Very cost effective, gives you a lot of power, and they're very budget friendly. So you have a mixer. Now you pick out your cameras. If you have pan, tilt, and zoom cameras, PTZ cameras, most of those can be hooked together. You have one remote that can control those from a distance. When it comes to a man camera, just make sure every camera can handle the exact same resolution across the board, as well as your video mixer. Now this makes this really easy, because if you're not retrofitting this system and you're building it from the ground up, just get the exact same camera across the board. So if you have pan, tilt, and zoom cameras, you can go to the website, look at the specs, go to their hand-manned studio or prosumer cameras or whatever, and just make sure that the resolution and the frame rate matches. Boom, there you go. Now, from a computer standpoint, if you already know how to build a computer, just build it, because then you don't have to go to the store and buy it, because most of the computers you buy in the store has so much junk on it that it's not really going to help what you're going to do. I am a proponent of a custom PC for the task that's being designated, and I have plenty of videos and plenty of guides here. You can go to AJaystuff.com, down here AJaystuff.com, and it has a list of all the parts you need for a dedicated live streaming computer, which I use here to do the stuff I'm doing here, as well as my own church and a bunch of other churches I've worked with, as well as if you're looking for presentation software, I recommend Worship Extreme, and there's also a computer that can run that. And honestly, that computer can run any of the presentation softwares that are out there. So whether you want to go with Worship Extreme, Media Shout, Pro Presenter, whatever, that computer can actually do that. All right, the next thing is you also want to think about your projectors. If you're in the mode of needing to hang a projector, I highly recommend that you hire somebody professionally to do that, especially if you're in a really tall ceiling. Now, if you have a 1-story building and you can get to it with a 6-foot ladder or 8-foot ladder, hey, make sure you do, and there's plenty of stuff here on YouTube on how to properly mount a projector and set that up. So, and if I find any, I'll put that in the description as well. But when it comes to a projector, I would honestly recommend, if your budget can allow, get yourself a laser projector. By doing a laser projector, the image quality does not go down. You don't have any bulbs that you have to change, and they're just like LED lights. They will last and last and last. And they're literally almost maintenance free. So if you go down a projector route, go ahead and invest in getting a laser projector. That will help you in the long run. The other thing you need is your ATEM switcher or your video switcher normally has 1, if not 2 or more outputs, your program out and your auxiliary. Your program out is going to be the output that goes to show whatever you're mixing. So video mixer determines what image is going to be shown on your projector. That's the program out. The program out that's being displayed. So, but you can also have auxiliary out, which can show a completely different image at the exact same time. So you have 2 options, but it's only 1 or 2 connections. So if you have multiple outputs of saying you want this video to be shown in multiple rooms, what you need to do is get a splitter. I highly recommend that when you do this, you run everything on SDI cables, because those cables can run for 300 feet before you ever have to repeat a signal. And unless you have a gigantic church, 100 feet to 300 feet should get you almost anywhere you need to go. So what I would do is get a SDI distribution splitter. It's just like any other splitter that you would see, but it just handles SDI coming in and it splits it to multiple places. So I'd run 1 program out from our switcher to the splitter, and then that splitter would run to the projector, to the other TVs inside of the church, and you can even run it into your other computers if you need be. If you have a secondary output, personally, I would use the auxiliary out. I would have that dedicated going to our live streaming computer. So that way, that's the one that goes to serve to Facebook, YouTube, whatever online service that you decide to pick. In the description, I'll actually have a link to get a full diagram of the video system that we're talking about right now. And I have it color coded so you can see what cables go where and things like that. Now this slide goes into now that you have the equipment, you pick all that stuff out, and I have a list as well on the link that will show you kind of like the parts that I would use in this type of setup. What you do is get all that equipment and you want to set up everything right there in front of you so that you make sure that you're not missing anything. So if you have the remote control cameras, hook those up, the manned camera, your computer, your live streaming computer, 1 monitor to act as your projector, as other stuff, and your switcher. You want to hook all that stuff up without anything being in the way and just make sure, does it all work? And when you're doing that, you can also fix your diagram so that if you run into any issues, you'll know, oh, I need to change this, or I need to order something else. And that's going to be your map. So when you physically go to install this stuff, you already know that it's working. All right, test that once, test it twice. All right, then pack everything up, go to the site, make sure you have that map that you did with your site survey of knowing where everything's going to be, how you're going to run stuff here and there, and then you go ahead and test it one more time physically in the building that you're going to do it. But still, don't hang anything. Set it up just like you did at home and make sure it works there. And then that's your triple check to make sure I know that everything that I've done is going to work. Now start drilling the holes, start running cables, doing whatever that you need to do to hang it and mount it the way that you need it to be. All right, then after you do that, what we're going to do for the 4th time, we're going to test it all again. Do I get video? Do I get sound? Do I get a picture on the projector? Do I get a picture on the TV down the hallway? Am I able to live stream? Am I getting a video? Can I put scripture up on the wall? You want to test every single aspect, because you do not want to have an issue when you're in the middle of a service or a presentation getting ready to use the system. Quadruple check your stuff. All right. While you're doing that, if you are a media ministry team and you're doing this yourself, I highly recommend that you have as many people, if not all, everybody in your media ministry working with you, because once you install and build this stuff, you will know inside out how your system works, so that if anything happens, you already know, oh, I'm not getting a signal. Now you can know to go directly to your diagram, or when you installed it, okay, this cable is here, that's probably the problem, instead of you having to run through the whole thing and have no idea what's causing the problem. After that, you want to go ahead, document everything you did. You had the layout, you have the list of equipment. Go ahead and take all that information, digitize it, put it in a filing cabinet, put it in a safe, do whatever, because that's what you're going to use for your training and reference for coming back later if you have any issues or you want to expand later. It is always good to have a map so that you have a full layout of what you've done, because if you come back 2-3 years later, most people are not going to remember that, and you can just look down in the document and you know exactly what you need. All right. Then you want to start your staff training, start working on that, and walk everybody through all of the steps that you did on how to run the system. And I'll come back with another video on how I would actually test everything, but that's pretty much what I go through in helping a church try and set up a video system or a business or whatever. So pretty much, question of the day is, would you consider a do-it-yourself video system install if you had every single step and every single item that you need, you just had to put the labor in, or would you want to leave it to the professionals? Comment down below and let me know. I love reading the comments, just seeing what everybody else is doing. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and hit the bell notifications. That way you get notified when we come out with new videos. This is AJ, and I will see you on the next video. Later.